This morning, we will bring you a special report on the second anniversary of the Delta State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori. Of course, contrary to widespread belief that new administrations always abandon the projects from their predecessors. However, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has taken a different approach and a new dimension, consolidating on the achievements of Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, former governor of Delta State, building on that foundation to give Deltans even more, and which is part of his agenda. And now, during his 2023 campaign under the People's Democratic Party, which of course was the party which he was flagged up as the governorship candidate then, Governor Oborevwori pledged to do more for Deltans. That promise was anchored on a 5-point agenda, 5 points developmental agenda, which is the MORE agenda, M-O-R-E. Talking about more, M stands for meaningful development. O stands for opportunities for all. R stands for realistic reforms. E stands for enhanced peace and security. So when you hear the MORE agenda, you hear meaningful development, opportunities for all, realistic reforms, enhanced peace and security. That is the MORE agenda of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori. Well, as we mark the 2 years into his administration, we'll be taking a deep dive into how these promises have translated into real progress. You know that saying, if they play, if they show. At the end of this program, you will have one question in your mind, or the answers to your question in your minds. Has our governor delivered on his promises? Is he still delivering? Will he still deliver more? These are questions that we will be looking at, and this particular program tends to, achieve today. But then, yesterday, and the first in history marking a historical event, the Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, presented a State of the State address to the State House of Assembly. There, he rolled out so many achievements of his tenure. It was a historical appearance at the State House of Assembly during plenary. Of course, this marks his first official visit to the state to address the state in the 8th Assembly. And this, they said, is since his inauguration. Oborevwori addressed lawmakers, outlining strides under his MORE agenda, also highlighting infrastructure, social investments, and governance reforms. I'd like our producer to take us down memory lane on what transpired yesterday.
I want to say that the achievements I have highlighted in this report are but a tip of the iceberg. Owing to obvious time and space constraints, it is not possible or practicable to catalog all that we have achieved in this address. Rest assured that the MORE agenda is on full throttle. We still have more milestones to reach. I'm proud of the progress we have made. These have been the challenges we have had to cope with. With over 1,149 primary schools and 489 secondary schools, the government faces the premium task of ensuring a conducive atmosphere for learning in our public schools through provision of adequate and appropriate infrastructure. We have made appreciable progress in the last 2 years. I'm happy to report that we paid the share of the 2024 counterpart funding for SUPER, which amounted to 3,554,642,584 naira 46 kobo only. We have also constructed 206 classrooms and renovated 907 public primary and secondary schools in the period under review. Furthermore, we supplied 23,804 students furniture, as well as 570 teachers furniture. Tertiary education. Our tertiary educational institutions continue to operate uninterrupted because they have been getting the necessary support and funding. A total of relationship between this house and my office has been characterized by trust, mutual understanding, transparency, and accountability. At this juncture, I want to briefly comment on the consolidated legislative salary structure, or popularly called ONLES. As a former speaker who has presided over this house for over 6 years, I believe in the new salary scale that, owing to the introduction of a new minimum wage, this administration needed to do its due diligence before taking a position. It is my pleasure to announce today to approve the payment of ONLES effect from June 2025.
Okay, we had the governor, and beginning with education, he did say that he has invested a lot in education, not just upgrading schools, primary and secondary, and even tertiary education schools. He has also, promoted teachers, employed more teachers in the field, brought in equipment. That's from the statement from the governor right there. So would you score him to say he has done well on the part of education? These are questions that are in the minds of Deltans. I believe you will find answers when we give you a roll tape of what transpired on the streets of Delta, especially at Asaba, Warri and Veron's. When we went out to ask people what they feel about the governor's achievements so far, or the governor's administration so far within the last 2 years. Now, apart from that, he also talked about the relationship between the three arms of the government, especially the executive and the State House, which of course he said it's born out of transparency, trust, and accountability. Not all the time state governors enjoy this mutual understanding between the legislative arms, the House of Assembly and the legislatures. But then the governor have said that the relationship they share is based on transparency, accountability, and of course, understanding, which is making the state to move forward. Are you going to give him kudos for that? Or are you going to say, no, it's only when, the assembly members hit at the governor. It's only when they query every policy he brings or the bills he brings, that is when they are doing their job. Is that what makes assembly what it is? Even at the national level, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, recently, it was even on our news, where he said that the relationship they share between the presidency and the National Assembly members is a mutual one. that some persons think that they are rubber stamp, that they are not rubber stamp, that for the country to move forward and effectively, there is a need, not like approving everything the president brings to their table, but then they see the need for it to be approved because of the economy. Do you agree with Akpabio? Well, do well to drop your comments on our social media platforms. We'll be welcoming them, and do well to also, make sure your voice is heard. It's the 29th day of May in 2025, and a lot of governors and even our president will be celebrating 2 years in office. What have they been able to be accountable for? Have they been doing well? We are looking at the midterm report of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori'S 2 years administration. Now, moving further, I'm just giving key highlights of some of the points he made. He also talked about the approval of a particular salary structure for CONLES, Consolidated, if I'm not mistaken. CONLES stands for Consolidated Legislative Salary Structure. Consolidated Legislative Salary Structure. It is a salary structure implemented in Nigeria for members of the legislative bodies, such as the House of Assembly. The recent approval of CONLES we saw in Ekiti State. It signifies a new salary scheme for the assembly workforce, according to how it is being run. Now, Delta State has also approved theirs, and they said that this has been in the cooler for 15 years now. They've been looking for that salary increment for legislative workers. They've just been working, and that has not been coming for 15 years, according to them when we had an interview with them yesterday. However, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has broken that jinx. Will you say it's a kudos to the governor, or will you say he needs to do more for the people? The question is there, the answer is for you to put up. Go to our social media platforms at Quest FM&TV and drop your comment both on all our social media platforms. Your comments will be welcomed. Okay, we'll still get to hear more from the governor. And this time around, let's look at what he will be diving his attention to.
One road of 2,595.56 kilometers are being constructed by this administration. Also under construction are drains with a combined length of 822.47 kilometers. These figures include projects undertaken by the Ministry of Works, Delta State Capital Government Agency, Oborevwori'S Government Agency, and the SOPA. Out of these figures, 153 road projects were awarded by this administration, measuring 1,378.59 kilometers, with additional drains of 292.05 kilometers. So far, following roads have been completed.
All right, and the governor there rolling out other projects that he has handed over. They've done in his tenure. Talking about rural works and roads, and a lot of flyovers we see flying up and down. And Warri seems to be a great beneficiary of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori'S 2 years administration. I'm hearing that there are several flyovers that Warri has turned to, skyscrapers. We are seeing skyscrapers in Warri, the building bridges in Warri, and some persons have also argued that building bridges and roads does not amount to good governance. So, what's your own argument? Are you going to stick to that line, or are you going to say, one step at a time, the governor is moving in the right direction, and you feel that probably as time goes on, every other sector would be touched? Or you feel no, building bridges, skyscrapers, roads, does not amount to good governance. If you build those roads and bridges, within 1 year, we have to rehabilitate them again, another money, that's more like a waste of money. On whose side are you? Choose ye whom you want to serve today. So let us know your thoughts on Governor Sheriff Oborevwori'S administration. That's one. Then secondly, there are a lot of linking bridges, linking roads, drainages. He has also rolled out under his tenure that he has worked with, amounting to over 45 projects that in fact is supposed to also commission under this his 2 years anniversary. Of course, he will not be able to, move around the 45 projects. That's why he has been going around, visiting the site, doing an on-the-spot assessment of some of those projects to look at critical areas and issues where there are challenges so they could meet up and, see what he would do with those who are doing the job, okay? And so far, the governor, one way or the other, did say he's a bit satisfied with the ongoing work, and for those works which he's not satisfied with, he just put it straight to the engineers, and this is where I want you to improve on, this is what I want you to do, this is what I want you to do. Now, talking about Ogeli Asaba Road, if you know that road very, very well, you and I know what has been going on there, formerly in those years, but now, in less than 2 hours, you're already in Ogeli, and you begin to wonder, where is these wonders coming from? Before the Ubu Bridge, that area where they were trying to build a drainage system there, it was an eyesore. In fact, at some point, the bridge cut off completely. People stopped moving through that route. Sometimes people had to pass through Nsukka side, pass the Nsukka side, Ijema and Yogo, to turn in case you're going towards maybe Kwale, Utagono and the areas, and sometimes people avoid those areas completely, like if you're going to Abraka and some other places, you pass through those areas. Well, we just hope that the roads that has been worked upon along the Ogeli-Asaba Expressway would last long for the people. Someone reached out to me yesterday and said, what about the Agbo-Abraka road? What's happening? Well, one of these days we'll get the Commissioner for Information to come inform us as to what's really happening there. Whether you like it or not, it's inside Delta State. Whether you call it a federal road or a state government road, all we know is that the road is inside Delta State and we need the road to work so people can connect easily, especially for students who take through that route. Not just that, a lot of projects have been embarked on by this administration. He also talks about equipment that have been given to hospitals. All the hospitals in Delta State are well equipped, not like all they need is there, but they've been well equipped. Well, I don't know so far, but then that's what the governor has said. So it's left for you to go and check that out. Well, we have also checked that out, and we saw 1 or 2 activities playing out in these hospitals, and so we will always report what we see. But then, the people have more to give right here in the state. So that's why you need to go on our social media platform at Quest FM&TV to drop your comments and let us know what you think about Governor Sheriff Oborevwori'S 2 years administration. But apart from that, Quest FM, we just don't sit down, or Quest Television rather, we're a radio and TV station, so don't mind my language, FM&TV. We took a stroll to look at what the governor has said. It's not just about coming out to roll out a success. Let us also see if what he has said is actually true. We took a deep dive into some of the ongoing construction. Before we go into the full report, we were talking about the presentation of the State of the State address the governor presented at the State House of Assembly. Now, when he finished his presentation, of course, the House of Assembly, through the Speaker, has a reply for him. We're going to take that reply, and when we return, we'll now dive into the promises that the governor made to us. Let's see if it has transformed from his vision to a reality.
Your presence in this hallowed chamber is a testament to your unwavering commitment to the rule of law and the mutual respect that exists between the executive and the House. This synergy has been the bedrock of the remarkable progress and sustainable development we have witnessed across the sectors of our economy and society. Honorable colleagues, this moment presents us with a unique opportunity to reflect on the journey so far and to gain profound insights on the strategic direction of our DSC. The state of the state address is not merely a formality. It is a critical instrument for championing our collective future, evaluating our past achievements, and identifying areas that require more concerted efforts for the benefit of all Deltans. Your Excellency, we honorable members of the Delta State House of Assembly, including the Deputy Speaker, the Majority Leader and Principal Officers, and members of the Delta State House of Assembly, we assure you of our continued support and collaboration, our commitment to enacting progressive laws, performing diligent oversight function, and ensuring effective representation within circumstances. It is our expectation that your address will further galvanize our efforts toward building a more prosperous, secure, and equitable Delta State for generations yet unborn.
All right, that was the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, right, Honorable Imomotimi Gowo, and he's also talking about the synergy between the executive arm of the government and the legislative arm of government. Of course, we have three arms: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And he's saying that the relationship they share is for the benefit of Deltans to move the state to that, approved site. Okay, let's continue. Now, I was at the House yesterday, and I also noticed that after that particular activity, there was, following the address, there was a vote of confidence that was passed on Governor Sheriff Oborevwori. The vote of confidence came through a resolution following a motion moved by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Afro Akpowowo, and was seconded also by the member representing Uwe State constituency, talking about Honorable Edafe Emakbo. Now, also, the House also commended him for what they described as the visionary and transformational leadership, effective financial stewardship. Of course, did I fail to mention to you that the governor, yes, of course, in a swagalicious manner, made reference to his administration not borrowing a dime and then delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. To him, that's a great plus. And of course, that has earned him a lot of Governor of the Year awards from 3 different, media firms. So whether you say he's doing well or not, the antics are there. So you look at what he has done and you can now say, has our governor done well or he has not done well? Just lastly, the motion, of course, that's there was also another motion raised by Honorable Emeka Nwobi, who was praising the achievement in key sectors such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, and youth empowerment. And the motion, of course, was seconded by Honorable Ferguson Onwa, who represents Isoko South Constituency 2, and was subsequently adopted by a unanimous vote presided over by the Speaker, Imomotimi Gowo.